All right, let's talk about abortions. Get a little music. Talk about abortion. Glory to God in the highest. A little music first. You know, a little water. Get in the mood. Hey. Huh. All right. Good God. Yep. All right. Let's get into it. Let's talk about abortion and what it means. All right. Enough of that. Let's talk about what abortion means in the short and the long run. Stretch right there. All right. So for the short run, you're going to be penalized if you have an abortion. For the short run, you're going to be penalized. Penalty is probably going to range from monetary. It's always monetary, all the way up to some type of sentencing. But I heard $10,000 is in there somewhere. Now I listened to a story, the guy, and he said that he used to work for an abortion clinic, and he's a young guy. He said one day he was out, kicking it, and he decided, because it was like 3 a.m. So he said, you know what, I'm just gonna go and sleep in the parking lot at my job, and then go on to work early because he had to be in there at 6:30 anyway. Now I've done this before. You're young, you're just like, shoot, I'm not gonna go all the way home. He said it's 45 minutes to drive home, get an hour of sleep, jump back up, and then drive another 45 minutes. He said, forget that. Let's just, call it a night and sleep in a parking lot. He said, well, he went in to work before, his time. He went in before 6:30, and he saw a whole slew of white women in there. And then the manager of the abortion clinic literally pushed him out the door, and after that, he was terminated. He said he found out that the white women, teenagers on up, want everything to be discreet. So they have, first dibs at, termination. And nobody will be none the wiser except this guy, figured it out. Now, I knew a young lady who went to Catholic school, very hoity-toity school out here, and she was like, yeah, these white girls, teenagers, high school, they get a lot of abortions. So this leads us to, still in the short run, to what's going to happen in the short run. You're going to start looking at middle America being penalized. This is who they're going after. They're going after middle America, white people. That's who they're going after. See, America has always been doing this, hiding their mistakes type of thing. Oh, we're the shining light of, civilization. We don't do this, that, and third. And come to find out that our history is very tainted. And white women have not only been getting back alley abortions and black market, this, that, and the third, but they've been crawling into these abortion clinics early where nobody knew what the exact numbers of these white women getting abortions is. Now, mind you, there are 245 million white people that are walking around in America. Last time I checked, that number is lower, I think. And that's one of the biggest problems. I think it drops by 2% each year or something like that. That's one of the biggest problems because their numbers are dropping, 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 and they're, 2% drop. I mean, come on. So they're finding out a lot of reasons why the numbers is dropping, and one of them is there's just not enough children being born. Now, this is still in the short run. The people who are middle Americans, we're not talking about upper class because upper class are still going to do this. You don't really have a lot of upper class, upper crust, people who own, huge businesses and, who are, changing the minds of, political, not these people. They're not going to walk into one of these places. They're just going to have a doctor come out to them. So we're not talking about the 10% who are upper class. We're talking about middle America. We're talking about $250,000 and less, starting probably at maybe $100,000. So in between $100,000 on up to probably $500,000, that's pretty much middle America. But we're talking about a double income also. We're not just talking about one person who makes this. A double income some kind of way, or it could be a single income, but nonetheless, in that range, that's middle America. Now, when you look at the people who are in that range of middle America, and you look at the majority of them are white people, it's just clear that Roe v. Wade, the turnover, was going after, the white women who were doing this. Now, white women, they kind of tried to take over America in so many ways. They tried to take over the political system. They tried to take over the courthouses. They tried to, take over corporate America. I mean, they really were on a tear. And I knew it was only going to be a matter of time before the white men said, okay, we had enough. I mean, it started off in the 80s. The women wanted to burn their bras. And they wanted to be loose and they wanted to be free and all this other stuff. And they wanted empowerment. But they got all of what they wanted. They didn't want to be in the house anymore. They didn't want to be housewives. They wanted to be, we want to, take over and we wanted this, we wanted that. And they wanted more funding for more women's studies and women this, women that, and these were not the things that were running America. So they had all this liberation to do what they wanted to. And it's just like, ladies, you didn't go into engineering. You didn't go into these places that you griped about the pay gap and all these other. You didn't do that. You didn't do what you bellyached about. You went out and you gave away your bodies. And you flaunted it in front of the whole world that you can do whatever you want. And of course, with this type of so-called liberation, you have more what? Pregnancies. Except these were children being born out of wedlock. And the women were like, so what? I'm just going to go to an abortion clinic, and I'm going to get it taken care of. And, who cares? Well, those days are over. Those days have come to a screeching halt. It's not, I'm going to just get an abortion and nobody knows or nobody cares. No. The whole of America is watching now. Once again, this is the short run. Now, in response to this, you're going to have a lot of women who are doing it discreetly. It's kind of like the black women with the getting the BBWs and the nip and tuck and all the stuff that they get to enhance their backsides. Instead of going to a doctor, they're going to somebody who's putting cement in their legs and then they're dying from it. Well, it's going to be the same thing with abortions. There's going to be a slew of white women turning to alternative methods to get rid of their children. And so the black market has just opened up again and it's gone awry. The black market kind of went down when it came to back alley abortions. It kind of went down, kind of went away, um, because it was just like, hey, I can just go into a clinic and get abortion. Not anymore. So, people were using all kind of devices to have the child aborted, that were very, very, very gruesome. And a lot of times it damaged the female permanently and sometimes killed the female because they bled out. This is not something that should be done in the back alley, black market. This is not something that should be done by somebody who doesn't have certifications to do this. It's a very dangerous thing, and you're going to lose your life and or your, especially you young, high schoolers, middle schoolers, colleges where everything is free willy now. You girls go out there and you get knocked up by, somebody you don't know or you don't care about, or he no longer cares about you, and you say you're going to punish him by getting rid of the child. Well, you can't just walk into an abortion clinic and do it. So you're going to, head to the nearest whatever. You're going to probably take a pill or something. Whatever, you're going to try to get rid of this child one way or another. And desperation is going to call for, desperate measures. There's going to be somebody saying, hey, I can do this for you. $5,000, I'll get rid of it. And boom, they get rid of it. But later on down the line, you find out that your innards are all screwed up. The perfect system that you have is no longer perfect, and it's damaged beyond repair. So when you get into your upper 20s and 30s and you decide you want to have a family, you meet somebody who loves you, you love them, and you're going to have to break the news to this gentleman that you cannot have children. And of course, the question is going to be why, and then you have to tell your side of the story in hopes that he's going to stick around. That's going to be a bad deal for you ladies. That is coming around. That's going to happen. That is going to happen in mass numbers. You women do stuff when you're young, but and you think, I'm a woman, I can change my mind. The problem is not everybody changes with you. You're a woman, you can change your mind. You can say, oh, I want to do this now, and then say, oh, I didn't want to do that. That's all fine and well, ladies. Look, we already got that with the Me Too movement. We know how dangerous you changing your mind is for us men. But what about when you meet the man that you really want to be with? He's the love of your life, and you cannot have children with him. That's the reason why he's trying to lock you down. And what you tell him is, he's going to be like, I can't be with you. I wanted children. That's what you're here for. So we can have children. My seed can go on. And you're going to call him all kind of whatevers. And he's going to be like, no, this is your fault, not mine. I wanted children. I wanted to produce with you, but you cannot do this. So Henry VIII, off with your head, you gotta go. That's going to happen in droves. It's going to be a lot of hurt 30, 40-ish women out there scarred from the inside, literally out. So let's look at, that's the mid run. Now let's look at the long run. The long run of abortion is going to be more laws being made and unmade. The laws that are going to be unmade, they're going to be gay marriage. Listen, if they can overturn Roe v. Wade, they can overturn gay marriage. I'm telling you right now, gay marriage is going to be flipped on its head. And not listen, you don't understand. They're charging people $10,000 and they're willing to put a white woman in jail and charge her 10 grand if she gets an abortion. What do you think they're going to do to gay couples? They're going to make a law, or they're going to undo the ability to have gay marriage. They're going to undo it, I'm telling you. And then for anybody who's trying to listen, it's going to get so bad that they're going to try to separate you. Okay, when I said, desperate measures, America is desperate to keep up their white numbers. And not only is America desperate, this is going on all over Europe. This is in Germany. This is worldwide happening. And I talked about this years ago. And I mentioned Benjamin Franklin talking about how he knew that this was going to come. He knew that the white man was going to be outnumbered. Ben Franklin talked about this. Listen, I don't have a lot of people that listen to me. But if you start and you start looking at some of the stuff I've been talking about it all through history. I've been like, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. This is what's going to happen. And now it's coming to fruition. And I don't want any credit, but I'm trying to say that if we just stop and just look around, we can pretty much tell what's going to start happening. They're going to change the laws that they made for the people who were doing the most shouting. They're going to change these laws. They're already changing the laws against the women. The women been shouting since the 80s about what they wanted. They gave them what they wanted, and look how terminal it was for white America. When they gave those white women what they wanted, those white women took it and they trampled all over everything that America gave them. They killed America. Is what they did. That's what these white women did. That's what feminism did. Because when you go out here and you start complaining about how much you hate men, and how much you don't want to be with the man, and how much men are worthless, and how many men that you sleep around with, and you make yourself unmarriageable, you are killing America. You're killing the European race, period. That's what these women did. When they start burning their bras and running around naked, and all this freedom, that's what they did. They made themselves unmarriageable. If you are unmarriageable and a white man looks at you and goes, it is no longer profitable for me to invest. That's what it is. For me to invest into a European woman, then what does that man do? This is why pornography went through the roof. Because the man said, I'm just going to, do it myself. Boom. I'm not going to have any kids. This is why before COVID hit, 1 million men dropped out of the workforce. These are eligible men. These are men within eligible ages. These are college men. They all said we're finished. Then the Me Too happened, and then more men dropped out. And they were like, we're not going back to work in any of these places. This is why there's no more open door policy. You cannot walk into an exec's office as a woman and say, hey, can I have a meeting with you right now? That exec will tell you to get out of his office. You cannot do it. This is why executives at large companies no longer have these picnic days they used to have with softball and all these outdoor. They don't do that. They don't go out and, we're all going to go out to dinner and have all these big luncheons. Women destroyed all of that. Because a woman said a man did this, or he looked at her funny, or he hugged her. Listen to some of the Me Too and how they cried about some of the stuff that just didn't happen, and or men did not know that it was offensive. They didn't know. They thought everything was okay, and then a woman changed her mind. Made a phone call to Gloria Allred. Gloria Allred has been on a tear, suing everything that moves. This is why you got some sports players that don't want to be around females. They will not, because they've been sued. Now, when you take all this information and you look how America reacted, look at all the execs that they tried to put in jail, all the execs that dropped out, all the regular men. Listen, when you mess with European men, at this scale, where they look at you and go, You're not worth the investment. You have a huge, huge, huge problem. And that problem isn't only in America. That's what happened. That's what women did. They went out and slept with whoever they wanted to. And they said, you can't tell me what to do because it's my body, it's my choice. And men said, you're absolutely right. But when you're done with all that you're doing, you can't come back to me. And that's where we're at now. That's why you have spinsters. Spinsters are women in between 30 and 40, 50-ish, and they're out there. They have no husbands, no nothing going on as far as production. They're spinsters, and there are millions of them. Can I ask you a question a bit off topic? Yes, but I probably won't stay on your topic. I'll probably come back to this topic. But you can ask me a question, that's fine. But they're spinsters. And when you look at the numbers of spinsters worldwide, it is alarming how many women are unmarried because of this liberation they choose, even in other countries. You look at India, 70 million women, no man. Look at Russia, 10 million women walk around, no man. I mean, look at Germany. They're paying, the couples are being paid to have children. There's not enough white people. And another thing that white people have done since our civilization is they're constantly at war. Nobody fights more than white people. And I talked about this before. If you go all the way back to, the great European age that they want us to all salivate over constantly, and all these great European conquerors, all I saw is a lot of people dying. And I was like, you guys, how do you replenish your numbers? All right, I'm gonna read your question. As a creator, how has YouTube changed your life in regards to connections with your viewers? Do a lot of people contact you, for example, for emotional support and such? Actually, yes. I wouldn't say a lot, though. But yeah, people talk to me, especially when I go live, and, they talk to me about an array of subjects, and I try to give an honest answer. So the answer is yes. I wouldn't say YouTube. Well, I wouldn't say YouTube. I've been on YouTube for, 15 years. I wouldn't say it necessarily changed my life, but it gives me an outlet because I'm an introvert now. I used to be an extrovert, but I'm an introvert now. So it gives me a way to talk about whatever I want to talk about and find others who are on the same wavelength. But right now there's 4 people on here, but I have over 3,000 subscribers. I mean, there's hardly a time when I have at least 10 people on here. So this video is going to get maybe 20 views. So I don't get a lot of views on videos like this. I just don't. But I like to talk about things and try to get stuff out there. Especially when it comes to healthcare. My degree is in healthcare. It's in healthcare administration. So I really like these topics. I hope that answered your question. Nonetheless, abortion, really, how does one go from an introvert to an extrovert, especially when you have a platform as an outlet? Well, when you're extroverted, there's extremes to extroversion. Is that a word, extroversion? There's extremes to extroversions. I don't go out and party. I don't go to the clubs. I don't go out to the movies anymore. Actually, I spend whole days just sitting in here and sometimes not even on the internet. So I used to do a lot of activities. I no longer do these activities for one reason or another. But as far as abortion is concerned, so you white women have, you're destroying your own race by all this, free willy attitude that you have. Now, the long run is They're going to go after the gay community. They have to. They have to go after the gay community. They have to go after any community that stops them from having white babies. Anything. Right now, being a homosexual is huge here. Oh, it's huge all over the well, not all over the world, because there's some countries that it's not. But the European world, it is huge, and it stifles the birth of children. It just, and somebody, because I made a short about this. I said, how are you guys going to fix the LGBTQ problem because they can't have children? And somebody came at me and said, well, they can adopt children. Adopting a child and having a child is apples and oranges. Okay? Not to mention, when you go ahead and adopt a child, that child is not your seed. You don't take care of that child as you would your seed. It's just different. So your line ends with that adoption. Thank you for the answer. Very curious about creators and how they deal with being watched, listened to, and brave enough to be on display. Well, I've been on display since I was little. I've been entertaining in some way, shape, form, or fashion. So I've either been dancing on the streets or doing plays ever since I was. So it's nothing for me to be in front of people. I used to be a street performer. I used to grab a guitar and go out and play on the street. Every now and then I'll grab a Jesus Save signs and hit a corner, and pray with people. So this is easy work to me. I don't mind it at all. So you white women have done your due diligence and it's coming back on you. But the gay community is really in trouble. They're going to undo what they did. They're going to change gay marriages. And they might even go after gay couples who are, okay, listen to this, right? We have this huge movement right now where the homosexual community is teaching children that they can be anyone that they want, right? They're saying, hey, if you're a guy like Leah Thomas, and you want to be a girl like Leah Thomas, you can do that. There's this whole Ivy League argument of what is a woman. They're going on college campuses and what is a woman? They're not coming to the bricks, the hood, and asking these stupid questions. Because if they came and asked any one of us what is a woman, we'd be like, someone who is born a female. That's it, and that's all. That's a woman. Okay, we don't need to go into womanhood, and womanhood is an array of get the hell out of here. If you act like you're a woman, then that's womanhood. No, that's disgusting, is what that is. That's what you're not a woman. You cannot reproduce on that level. It's not going to happen. And if you try it, you're going to die. Okay? No, women have that covered for a reason. All right? Let them do that. You want to be a man dressed up as a woman? That's not a woman. That is totally in another category, but you're not a woman. So this whole argument is just ridiculous, and people act like they can't answer it, all the way up to the White House. So can you tell us what a woman is? Ask me that question. I'll bring Big Booty Bertha in here and be like, this is a woman. Look at, TNA, cute face, bam, that's a woman. That's my description right here. All right, so all the stuff y'all talking about, I ain't got nothing to do with. So you got to understand that all of this indecisiveness on what is a woman, all this, your children, your little boy can be a girl, your little girl can be a boy, all that's going to go out the window. So you have a small group of people who are trying to control the narrative, the European narrative. You have the elites that are a bunch of pedos and homosexuals who control music. They control music. They control movies. This is why Netflix. This is why everything that's coming out on Netflix. This is why Disney. This is why all these movies that are coming out. will have some man with another man, or if you saw the new Doctor Strange, the superhero teenage girl has two mothers and all this other ridiculous stuff. When you're looking at that, you're going, how can two mothers have children? How's that possible? Explain that to me, where you're going to get the seed to have to put that goes into your body so you can reproduce. Explain this to me, because you can't. Modern Family, that old nonsense. Explain how you two men are going to have a child. Break that down. Oh, we're just going to go borrow. You're just going to go borrow somebody's child. And then they go and get African children and try to satiate us. That doesn't do anything for us. Come to find out that they were going to get African children, saying that these children were impoverished and they were, all this other stuff. Turn around, and one little girl grew up and didn't speak English. She was over there for like 2 years, found out how to speak English, and she said, none of what these white people are saying was true. My mother didn't give me up for adoption. She thought I was going to come over here and be educated. And my mother, my mother and brothers and them, they're okay. They're doing just fine. When that little girl said that, they took that little girl and put her right back in Africa. And she's been there ever since, happy. And just the lies. I'm telling you, they're going to go after the gay community. And when they go after the gay community, they're going to go after them hard. I'll read your question. The real issue in our country is man, these men need a lot. Well, listen, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm not a man spreader, but I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you something now. Man spreading is not causing the European nations not to have children. Yeah, that's not what it's doing. And there's a reason for man spreading. We're not going to sit with our legs closed like a woman. That's not comfortable all the time. So, yeah, you women don't have the anatomy that we do. And there are some men who are, well endowed. So there's no way they're going to sit like a woman. It's just not going to happen. So, yeah, good luck with that. But anyway, so I just wanted to cover abortion and some things that are going to happen and why the gay community is in a lot of trouble. And they're going to listen, they're going to revoke everything that they gave the gay community. They don't have a choice. Let's look at it like this. You have a 2% drop in your nationality. There's white people. You have a 2% drop. Let's do it like this. Let me find out how many white people are in America. Let's just put some numbers to this. How many white people are in the United States? Census. Let's do it. Okay. There are 231.9 million, actually, 231.9 million in 2020. That was the count. In 2020. So I think that's when the last census was done. Now, let's go to, all right. So let's go 2011. In 2011, there were 229.9 million. 2012, 231.9. 13, I'm sorry, 233 million. I'm saying everything wrong. 234 million, 2014. 235 million, 2015. 236 million, 2016. 236 million. You see what just happened? 236 million, 2016. 236 million, 2016. I'll do it again because In 2016, at the beginning of 2016, it's 236 million point one. 2000 in 2017, it's 236 million point eight, and that's the problem. If you go back to 2015, you had 235 million point four. The next year you had 236 million. See, there's a decline that's been happening. You go back to 2013, 233 million. 2014, 234 million. See, it's been going up, but in 2016, that all changed. It all changed. It was going up drastically, and it all changed. Now, 2017, you have 236.8 million. In 2018, 237.2. 2019, 237.6, meaning there was barely a jump. There's barely a jump in between 18 and 19. There's barely a jump. And then in 2020, you have 231.9. So 2019, 237.6, 2020, 231.9. Where did all those people go? Where did 6 million people disappear to? 6.3? Where did 6.3 million people disappear to? What happened to them? And that's in 2020. Where did 6.3 million people disappear to? I'll tell you what happened. COVID. That freaking drug that's been going around. That's been knocking that. It affects everyone, but white people mostly. War. Violence has gone up. The more cars that are on the street, the more car accidents. The more people that there are, they live next to each other, the more they kill each other. Yeah. Other disasters that are out there. That's what happened to them. But especially COVID and whatever that drug that you need Narcan for, whatever that is, that's what 6.3 million people, white people, just like that. Just like that in less than a year. That's a lot of people. This is their problem. This is just white people. Now, let's go 2021. Well, that's even worse. Many people reported white alone in combination with other groups. Okay, but you have in combination with other. The white population remained the largest race and ethnic group in the United States. And they have it at, oh, well, this can't be right. 204 million people identified as white. That cannot be right. That cannot be right. If that, wait a minute. That can't be right. Because that means that 30 million people dropped off the face of the earth. Okay. Overall, 235.4 million people reported white alone or in combination with other groups. I think that's more correct. But even so, 235 million is still a decline. Well, actually, no, that means the number is going up. But see, they added other groups in there. They added other groups into this report. You know, white alone combinations with other people. Yeah, this number is not accurate. Let me pull up a chart. All right, this is 2020. Still some other races. Yeah, these numbers are not accurate. I wanted to see what was in 2021. This is 2020. Okay, so, well, maybe, yeah, it only goes to 2020 for the census. I think that's the last time the census was taken, was in 2020. That's correct, wasn't it? So there is a large decline in white people. Huge decline in white people. So we have to wait till another census comes out to get somewhat of a decent number. They're still going to miss people, but it's a good general number. But I'm going to guarantee it's not going to be 235 million or 231 million. It's probably going to be somewhere around 227. Well, wait a minute. Let's see, 6 million. So it's going to be around 228 million. That's what it's going to be around. Probably a little less than that, 27, 26, somewhere around there. That's what it's going to be. But nonetheless, still 6 million people have fallen off the face of the earth somewhere along the line. Actually, almost 7 million people. This is what they're afraid of. So let's just say they do another census, and they do it next year, right? 2023, they do a census, right? I don't know when they do it, but I'm just putting it out there. And it comes back that the number is 224 million. When the census done before that, which is what, 3 or 4 years ago, was 235 million. Well, they're going to put those numbers together, and they're going to, look at the average in decline, especially if they take 5 numbers and, do an average, how to do that. But they're going to look at the average in decline, or the rate of decline. And the rate of decline is going to determine how lethal and stringent the laws will be for those who are not providing babies. That's what's going to happen. It's going to be a knee-jerk reaction to the census. That's what's going on. When they saw that there were 6 million people that were gone, they were going, well, wait a minute. Well, if there's 6 million people that have gone in 1 year, in since 2019 to 2020, they're going to look at every major reason why it happened. Then they're going to say, we need to start having more children. That's for one. And they're going to knock out anything that stands in the way of that. You got to understand that people do not control America. They don't control America. And even the people who are controlling legislation, and these people who are promoting LGBTQ, like those people who are in like that 1% of people who actually control who's going to be the president, because we don't control who's going to, those people are going to be, it's going to be bad for them. Because there is going to be a power switch. Because the people who control legislation and control the presidency is a small group of people. It's a very small group of people. Because when you look at who becomes president, it all goes off of delegates and super delegates. what this is why it's such a big deal when the delegates and super delegates start voting on who they want. Hillary Clinton is a prime example of this. Al Gore is a prime example of this. These two people won in a popular vote, meaning the people said, this is who we want, but the small group of maybe 30, 40 people said, no, I want you delegates and super delegates to vote on the Bush family. Boom, get them in there. I want you to vote on, Donald Trump, or I want you to go ahead and put, Obama in there or whatever. Obama was a landslide. Obama was one of the examples of it didn't matter that okay. Obama was an example of the delegates and super delegates and the people wanted the same thing. But when you look at the Bush administration, that was the total opposite. The people wanted one thing, and the delegates and super delegates voted a whole nother way. And there's only like 30 people who are telling those people what to do, and they control who's the president. We don't do that. So when people line up to vote on who's the president, fighting all this, I just laugh about it because your vote doesn't matter. Not at that level. It doesn't matter. Not when 235 people can say, this is who we want to be president, and then boom, that's who's president. They take your vote and throw it clean out the window. They said, we don't care what you want. That's what they do when it comes to the presidency. So there is going to be a power struggle on that level. Because if those people don't make decisions that will edify the European nations, if they don't try to correct the mistakes they made, for one, taking God out of schools, taking God out of everything. That's for one. There's going to have to be a foundation somewhere. There's going to have to be some type of, look, this is what it is, and we're not going past that. And there's going to be a lot of people who got this free willy thinking, especially white women, who are not going to agree with that. But they're going to have to step in line, or they're going to be severely punished. It's going to happen. What you're going to see is a lot of ways of like the 1960s. You're going to see a lot of that come back. You're even going to see a lot of women, the way they dress, you're going to see a lot of that change. There's not going to be a whole bunch of naked women and all this on Instagram and all that. I'm telling you, they're going to start punishing these people because they realize down to the pixel, trust me, there's some guy sitting in some office by himself in some think tank going, if we change this, this will change millions of ways that people think. And don't hand that over to somebody somewhere, and boom, it'll happen. You're going to see a whole bunch of change. You're going to see a whole bunch of liberated women completely upset at the new laws that are going to be, the new shaming tactics that are going to be used. That's how it's going to start. Why are you dressed like that? Why do you have on that thong, run around with your cheeks out? Why? Because they know men are not going to marry that. Men aren't going to look at you. A heterosexual man is not going to look at you and say, I want to marry you. The chances of that happening are slim and none. They're going to say, I want to have sex with you. Watch what happens to these white women who are running around naked and all this other kind of stuff and say, look, it's going to start in a college. That's where it's going to start because that's where it's hit the hardest. College females go crazy because they're away from their parents. They're into these new ways and nuances of thinking. And it totally destroyed America. Totally destroyed it. They're going to go into these colleges and they're going to set the standard of living in these colleges. That's what's going to happen. It's going to start at the Ivy League and it's going to trickle on down. You're going to see Yale, Princeton, Harvard, Brown, You're just gonna see it boom, 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 and then you're gonna start seeing it in Bethune Cookman and Talladega. I'm telling you, it's gonna reach every university where the way of presenting yourself as a woman is going to change, and it has to change in order for more white families to have white children. They just don't want white children. This isn't what they want. They want the women to get back in line. This is why they're severely punishing them. This is not just about white babies so they can throw them into the war and all this other nonsense that they did at D-Day and at Hamburger Hill and all this just totally blasphemous things that the presidents have done. They just threw by. A lot of these wars that they have, they know that there's going to be a high morbidity rate. They know it. They know that the average person that is saying, hey, I want to defend America, is going to be a 19-year-old male. They know this. And they know when they touch down in Normandy, they're going to get their heads blown off. The average lifespan is 13 seconds. Bang! You don't even get a chance to get out of the carrier. Once they were coming up on the water, boom, they were being shot and being shredded. They knew this. They could have probably took Normandy a whole different way, but they were like, throw as many bodies as we want at it. Just throw as many. They did the same thing in Vietnam. Go and watch Hamburger Hill and all that other stuff. The same thing. You know why it's called Hamburger Hill? Because they were shooting up people so much that it just looked like hamburger meat. They did heinous crimes against their own people. Their own people. It made no sense. And then now we're in a situation where your women don't want to have children. And if they do, they want to get rid of children. Your numbers are going to decline in a massive rate. See, all of this started probably 2,000 years or more ago. This isn't something that's new. Because white men have taken over the planet ever since the Scythians. Who was their father? I forgot his name. Alexander the Great, who went around conquering everything, and he named every city Alexandria. His children turn out to be Scythians, and they end up residing in Russia and all this other stuff. But his children fought over, who was going to be in power. But what they did was they continued to war. That's what they did. And look, even Alexander the Great had a problem. His problem wasn't that he was good at war. The problem was he couldn't stop. Until his men decided to stop him. They were like, we're not going anywhere else. We're finished. We're not fighting anyone else. And that was it. That's what stopped him. His men decided they didn't want to fight anymore. This same mentality is going on right now today. We just spent how many billions of dollars over there in the Ukraine? But during COVID, they didn't want to give us money to support. They don't care about us. They care about war. Look, if you go and look and see how many people died during D-Day, how many people died storming Normandy, how many people died in Vietnam. When you start looking at those numbers, it's just ridiculous. Look at Pearl Harbor. Look at 9/11. These were no accidents. They were all done by our people against us. All of it, wiping out thousands, and bam, just like that. And then you wonder why your numbers are diminished and they're hard to get back. They're depleted because of the mind state of the European man, the constant war of the warlike nature of the European man. This is what they're facing. They can't get out of their own way. It's not going to happen. And the punishment for that is your numbers are just going to start declining. And listen, it's the it's the law of it's called the law of diminishing returns. Look it up. That's what's happening. 6 million people in 1 year. 6 million white people, excuse me, in 1 year. 1 year, gone, just like that. COVID, whatever that drug is that's going around, 6 million gone. And your women don't want to have children. The white woman is in trouble unless she falls back in line. She's in trouble. There's going to be commercialization for the housewife. It's going to get bad like that. They're going to start pushing housewifeism as much as possible. They're going to start pushing the narratives of the 60s and 50s as much as possible. So what's going to happen? It's what has to happen in order to get the woman back into the mindset of wanting to have children and keeping the child. That woman's not going to have that child unless the man is going to be able to support that woman. That's what the roaring 60s and the 50s and all that was about. From the 40s to the 60s. The man, actually earlier than that, but the man was able to keep that woman stable where she can go out and stay in her femininity and complete her purpose. This is not going to happen with the way the millennials think. The millennials are so non-traditional in every sense. They don't want to get married. They don't want to have children. They don't want to go to work. They don't want to pay into the healthcare system. They don't want to do anything that has to do with something hard to do. They don't want to go to college. This is why you have an uptick in crime. These are millennials doing this crime. These are not people my age. This is not Generation X. This is millennials who are out there like, we're not going to work. What's work? When you look at some of these companies, I was looking at a report, some fast food companies, and they were saying we can't keep people. They would come in and work for a few days and they would quit. This is what the millennials are doing. They wouldn't stay. Now you got Starbucks paying $15 an hour, paying for your college, got your health care covered, and probably dental. I mean, they're at Starbucks is like, we need people. And we are looking at the mind. It's a war. We're looking at the mindset of the younger people, and we're going, in order to keep these younger people, we have to give them something to make them stay. So they're like, we're not going to argue with you over salary. Let's go. What 16, 15? Let's go. Boom, there it is. Your college tuition, bam, we got you. We'll pay for your college tuition. Just stay. We just need you to stay, that's all. So if they're not with your company, they're not going to stay. If they can't build a future in your company, they're not going to stay there. That's the way millennials are. They're not going to work if they don't see the benefit, especially the short term. They're not staying. They'll just go out and take it from somebody. This is going to be an interesting time to be alive in America because it's going to be an all-out war on so many fronts. Good luck trying to reel those women back in to some type of order because all you did was told the American women they can be as much as out of order as they want to. They are out of order on every level. Every level. They are unmarriageable uh, by all consideration. The American woman worldwide is notorious for being unmarriageable, and they did it with pride. Good luck trying to reel that back in. Because feminism has been pitched to women through Cosmopolitan. And the thing about it was the people who were writing these stories of better sex and, cheating on your man and all this stuff that they knew it was going to destroy the populace. They knew it. They knew it. It's just a matter of time before the numbers sank. And now the numbers have hit the wall. 6 million people in 1 year. Bang! And then COVID came along. Oh, you have no idea. COVID's not going anywhere. Just because we don't talk about it, all of a sudden COVID's not there. Oh, COVID's around. It's around. It's going to get worse. Omicron and all them other whatevers, it's going to get worse. Those numbers are still happening. Those people are still falling off the face of the earth. There's not enough Narcan to go around to stop all these people from using these opioids. Oh, you can forget that. You can forget that because, for one, the VA hands out opioids like freaking candy. They had to stop that. Go get an operation. The first thing they're going to give you is an opioid. It's the first thing they're going to give you. They're going to give you something with codeine in it. That's what's going to happen. And as soon as you take it, there's a chance you're going to get addicted to it. As soon as you take it. They're going to give you Percocets, Darvocets. I mean, those drugs are strong. Look, they do their job. They do their job, but they do it too well. Especially if you're a wartime veteran. Oh, it's lights out for you. You're going to be addicted to it, especially if you have a major injury that you're in constant pain. You're going to be addicted to it. And that's it. And that's what's going on in the white community. And okay, so go look at, there's a YouTube video that shows Philadelphia. And it shows the streets of Philadelphia. And just look at it. And look at the drug problem that they have. You'll see hundreds of people walking around like zombies. Slumped over, barely standing up, and you'll be like, what's going on? Opioids. That's what's happening. There's a sign not far from here, big old picture, talking about get help from opioids. Right off the highway, get help from opioids. Like, opioid is a huge problem that's just killing people. But it's mostly killing European people. I'm just letting you know now there's going to be a battle. The battle is going to be between the legislation and the people who control legislation. And they're going to be fighting another war because they're going to try to have to get the white women back intact, and it's not going to be an easy feat. It's not. Every other video with the white woman in it is talking about how they don't need a man. Okay, TikTok is probably the most popular platform there is right now. If you go on there and listen to the white women on TikTok talking about how they don't need a man and or how they left their man, how they're doing better without their man, the algorithm for pushing those videos. I mean, this is a whole scientific thing now. When you look and see how many millions of hits that these videos get, you look at it now, look at it a year from now. Somebody can put out the same type of video, they're not going to get millions of hits. Listen, the Asians control TikTok. They're the ones who created it. And they actually give more views to their people who do more engineering work. That's basically what it was meant for. So they wanted the Asian kids that were up and coming to do more scientifical stuff and things like that, and for them to get attention. But hey, what's going on? But what happened was when we got a hold of it, we did goofy dances. So they was like, okay, we're gonna go ahead and push that. We're just gonna watch you guys just do the most ridiculous dances. Make these goofy songs. You're adding nothing. You're doing nothing for America with your stupid dances and your this and all that. Nothing. That does nothing. But what their kids are doing is, all kind of computer stuff and all this. That's what it was for. We just took it and bastardized it. But I'm telling you right now, when you look at YouTube and Facebook and all these women talking about they don't need a man, watch and see how their numbers dwindle. The numbers are going to plummet. It's going to be taboo to even talk like that. And of course, there's going to be a great breaking away of that. A bunch of rebellious females, and like there already is, but there's going to be a battle. And that's what Roe v. Wade is. Listen, that's what it was before Roe v. Wade, took over. You guys got to understand, I'm almost 55 years old. I knew when women were getting abortions in the back alley with a hanger, with the steel hanger. Yeah, that's what they were doing. Because it was taboo for them to be seen getting an abortion. Oh yeah, babies being put in garbage cans, all that, because they did not want to go to an abortion clinic. All that's going to start up again. Just with that one law, all of that's coming back. Babies just being born and then left by the church. See, I don't know if any of you ever experienced that. I don't know if you ever found a baby in a garbage can, but I have. Dead. Dead. Dead as a doornail. And I was a child. Well, I was a teenager. We were all out playing. And boom, it was a garbage can. One of us looked in it. Sure enough, it was a child. That's going to come back. There's going to be babies laid at the church. There's going to be mothers who, the stuff that you heard about that used to happen, this is going to happen in large numbers. She's going to have the baby. She's going to wrap it up. She's going to lay it at the church. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. Because I've seen it before. I've seen it before. All the horror stories that come with women being shamed and or not allowed to, by law, to have an abortion. Except now it's going to get worse because there's more people here. So there's going to be abandonment on a wide scale. And that's going to start probably right now. Because the law has already been passed. Now, don't know if that law has been passed nationwide. I think it has. Well, when you look at adoption, you're saying somebody has a child, there is a couple that can afford to take this child on. Now, you got to understand there's a lot of dynamics here because the child is a new child. It's a newborn. This is not a child that's 2 years old, 5, 15. This is a brand new baby. Brand new baby, you're talking about adopted. How much does a brand new baby cost? With the price of 5% inflation that just happened. How much is that baby? Because before inflation went through the roof, a child was $20,000 a year new. Now, how much does a baby cost? So the problem is who can afford that child? You're going to run into a lot of people who can't afford it. When you start looking at the numbers of how many people just have $300 in their bank account, you're going to be like, there's not a lot of people who can afford to take on another mouth. They can't. Most people don't even have $1,000. They can't afford an emergency. Children come with emergencies. They get sick. Then you're going to look at the healthcare system. Now we got to look at Medicare, Medicaid. How do we take care? I mean, it's just a lot that just goes into just, I'm going to take on a child. It is not cheap. And if you're not in position to do this, what happens to the child? So it is a big deal because middle America, that does, okay, let's look at it like this. The poverty line. What's the poverty line in your state? Meaning, how much can you or not, or how much can you make before you're not considered impoverished? The answer is somewhere around $22,000 a year. Somewhere around there. It's about $12 an hour. It's what it is. But now it's worse because of inflation. So, but let's just stick with $22,000 a year. If you make $22,000 a year, you have actually are you're just over the poverty line. You're over the poverty line if you make 22. So, I mean, imagine taking on, that's what I'm saying. Imagine trying to take on, imagine your niece, sister, whoever. It's like, hey, I can't take care of this child. Leaves her on your front steps in the middle of the cold. You wake up, you walk outside, there's a baby at your door. Your income is $25,000 a year. You have 2 other kids. This is what's going to happen. Now, let's just look at middle America. The average income middle America is somewhere around $100,000. So we'll take the average household, middle America, husband, wife, 2 children. I just sold one guy a refrigerator. We were talking politics, and he said, well, they're not worried about me. I said, yes, they are. You're middle America. You're exactly who the politicians are worried about. You, your wife, his wife just lost her job. You know how? She got robbed. She worked at a diamond store. And while she was showing the rings, to one guy. There were two guys that walked in. The one guy wanted to see rings. The other guy stayed by the door on the phone. Not too, alarming. She's talking to the one guy. Boom. Blah. Some cue that they gave each other. The guy snatches the rings off of her and runs. Heads towards the door. They both run out. They fire her because they said that she should have had like some sort of distance or whatever little rule that they had in place that she did not know of. She didn't follow. They fired her. I said, listen, that was a blessing that you got fired. How old do you think the people were that robbed her? I think they were what, 30, 40? No. Probably 20, 22, maybe. Maybe. Robbed her. She gets fired. He buys a refrigerator from me because he wanted a second fridge. Want to put in his garage. His garage is filled. He can't even put his car in it. You know why? Because he said, we downsized. We had a big old house, but we downsized. See, when his wife lost her job, they downsized. He has two kids, two teenagers. One of them just turned 18, the other one's 15, or both boys. He said, we had to downsize. My wife lost her job, we downsized. Boom. They move they move into still a very nice area, but now they live into an apartment. That apartment is costing him $2,200 a month. And he's complaining about the rent going up. This is middle America. You see what's happening to middle America? They're being destroyed on so many fronts. They're being robbed. Inflation's going up. His kids aren't getting any younger. He went and told his 18-year-old, he says, now that you're 18, you have to go to work. And his son said, Dad, no problem. And his 15-year-old said, Dad, I'll go to work too. He said, fine, I'll get you a permit. Those two kids got their head on right. But you see how middle America is under attack. They're under attack. Do you think that this guy, who's a programmer, that's what he does, he works computer stuff, you think he can afford a newborn? What do you think would happen if a newborn was laid at his doorstep? What do you think would happen? Do you think he can adopt a child? The answer is probably not. Probably not. Can't adopt a child. So it's not that easy to do because America is under attack. Our financial system is in a disarray. And nobody's sure, what the feds are doing. Stocks are down. I mean, I lost a lot of money in stocks. A lot. I'm just saying. There is a trickle-down theory that is happening right now just because of Roe v. Wade. And the knee-jerk reaction is violent. Very violent. People who are protesting are wasting their time because they're not seeing the big picture. And what's really ugly is these people didn't see this coming. But people like me, we knew it was coming. We knew it was coming. It's going to get ugly, and it's going to get ugly for white people. For people who live in the suburbs I deal with these people all the time. $500,000 houses. These people are downsizing from these houses. They're getting rid of them because it costs too much to keep them. They can't afford a new child. They can't afford another $20,000 a year and growing each year. The cost of that child each year. And if that child's a female, that cost goes up exponentially. Females cost more than males, especially when they hit puberty. They just do. They do. They can't afford that. They're gonna be like, oh, absolutely not. And like I said, when you look hundreds of years ago, they even knew that females cost more. Hell, some countries would just kill the female if it was born. A lot of countries did that. What is it? A girl? Kill it. Yeah, kill it. The world is not short of females. There are more females walking the planet than there are males. But when those females don't decide to live accordingly, they don't want to get married, they don't want to have children, they don't want to be under anybody's structure. What do you do with them? What do you do with all of these wandering females who are coming up thinking that they could marry each other and benefit the culture? They can't. Your one purpose is to spawn. It's these educated women, they really have a problem with that. But I'm sorry, it's brass tacks. This is why your father gives you away. A lot of times your father, listen, back in the day, your father used to pay another man to take you. No, it's not just to have sex. It is to have children. Sex is, a prerequisite. But that's your purpose here, to have children, not to have them and get rid of them, not to have everybody's child and, just children no, it's no. If these women don't want to live under some type of structure, they're not profitable. As a matter of fact, they're the complete opposite. And a lot of women are going to have a problem with that, but we don't care because it's the truth. Every study will tell you this. Every single one. In every country. Not unless women step up their game in some type of way, like become more involved in the workforce and do more stringent things that keep the economy running. Go to school for more things that are applicable to the country being able to run. Not go to school for women's studies. Sociology. Nobody cares. Go to school for engineering. Build a better, tractor or ground hoe or something that we can dig better faster. There's a black woman who created the heating system. That's what I'm talking about. How can we make the community better? We don't just want you to sit around on your ass with a bunch of chatter. We need action. If you're not doing these things, then we're good. We don't care about your chit chat about stupid. We don't know, because the ground is breaking under our feet. There are potholes showing up everywhere. engineer a better road, engineer a better tire. Show us an engineer metal that doesn't get rust. Do something. Become a pillar in their community that way. But a lot of women are not doing this. They just want to chit chat and think that their worth is off the charts. Not when it comes down to the brass tacks. Not when it comes down to the electric system, the cooling system, the heating system. If you're not studying how to keep these things alive, then we don't care about your chitter chatter if you're not trying to be a housewife. That's just the facts. You just want to have a bunch of miscellaneous children, then that's not going to work. Because those children come out and they're not structured either. They don't know structure. And when they don't know structure, they're just going to be a bunch of roving, aimless. No. Everything has to be brought right back in where there is a position that everybody plays. Men cannot have children. We don't have the reproductive organs. We're men. That's not what we have. We go out, we build, we protect, we defend the best way we can. We make it as safe as you can for you to live, for you to survive and have children. That's what your job is. If that's not what you want to do, then what are we talking about? You're a liability. I mean, listen, this may sound archaic, but China knows this. The European nation knows this. Just look up what they do with their women and how they look at them. Look up how all of these countries look at women when it comes to the healthcare. They're a burden to the healthcare system. They're a burden to the financial system that every country has. The more spinsters you have out there, the more the system is being burdened by these women. Why? Because they cost so much. And they did not produce enough finances to cover their cost. They're a burden. When you look at the average income from some of these women, you're not looking at 80, 100, half million. That's not what you're looking at. 25, 35. Here in America, the African American woman, I think it's 45. The African American male is 42. But the cost of a man and the cost of a woman is completely different. Our cost is a lot lower. The female's cost is a lot higher. And this is how they become a burden to the financial system, to the healthcare system. This is why they need to get, okay, when you look at when we went into World War II, and World War One actually, but when we went into World War II, like always, the men went off to fight, the women stayed behind. Well, who's going to man the factories? So the women said, boom, we'll do it. This definitely happened in World War One. So you have more women who were working in the factories. They were working in these steel mills and building cars and building tanks and doing all this. They were adding to the war effort because there were no men and they were all gone. The problem is when those wars ended, those women didn't take up those skills. They went right back to, being housewives. And that was okay. But of course, another war broke out. When that war ended, the same thing. The women came, boom, housewife, and then the 60s hit. And the 70s came. And then it was all over in the 80s. Once the 80s hit, it was lights out. It was lights out. The mindset of the woman was completely changed. There was no more, I'm going to support the men. That's not the way women think today. Women don't, oh, I'm going to support the man. Nope. There's very few women that think that way. The women are like, I'm on my own. I'm going to do what I want to do. But you belong to a nation. You can't do what you want to do. Not here. You have to move. But you're going to find out the very harsh truth that wherever you go, there is going to be the basic needs of that nation. And if you can't coincide with those basic needs, then you're not going to be worth anything to them. This is why a lot of women are going to have to actually go to war the next time we go to war. They're going to have to pick up a weapon. And listen, women have been in the army for the longest time. It's not that big a deal, except now you're not going to have a choice. You're going to get drafted. You're going to be put on the front lines, and you're going to be fighting against men. Angry. Who have no sympathy for you whatsoever. And it's going to be a battlefield. It's not going to be a talk show where you can sit up there and run your gums and talk smack about men and the crowd claps for you and all the women are sitting there. No, you're going to be punched in the face, literally. You're going to get shot. You're going to get stabbed. And you're going to die. That's what's going to happen to you. There is an order. And women need to come back to this order. And they can mess with it as long as they want to. They can dilly-dally. They can play the games, but the European nations are no longer playing games with white women. They're not trying to hear from you. They don't care. You are not your own. You can't go out and have free sex anymore and think that you can just hand off a baby, or you can just kill the baby before it's 6 months or the second term or whatever that is. You can no longer do this. It's not going to happen. You can't do it. And the men, we're going to have to fall in line too, because we just can't think we're just going to go in and, hey, everything's going to be fine. We're just going to, because we're going to be accountable. We're going to be held accountable. Nobody's getting away easy. We're going to be held accountable for what we do. You better watch who you get with. Marriage is listen, marriage back in the 40s, marriage was hijacked in the 40s. And it was hijacked by De Beers, the diamond company. What they did was they, of course, went to Africa and stole their diamonds and didn't pay those people nothing. Mistreated those people. They're still doing that today, but the diamond mines are drying up. But what De Beers did, the Dutch, crooked Dutch, was they said a diamond is a girl's best friend. Before the 40s, there's no such thing. So they're like, hey, your husband needs to buy you a diamond, for marriage, which was complete hogwash. People used to literally jump over a broom and that was it. But they hijacked it and said, hey, buy diamonds. And so every woman now says, hey, if you don't buy me a diamond ring, then you don't love me. Which the two are not synonymous whatsoever, because we know that women will still cheat on you with that ring on. Heck, now that she has the ring, she's going to go out and cheat on you. So yeah, love has nothing to do with the diamond ring. But this is what they promoted, and the white man followed suit, went into these diamond companies, went $20,000 in debt, which would that's what it would be today, however it was yesteryear. But would go into debt and then go into debt in marriage just to be with this woman, and then he works his ass off at whatever factory trying to work off the diamond ring and whatever. But the incentive for the man back then was that he pretty much knew the woman was going to stay with him. He had a couple kids. He worked. He came home to his wife. Whether it was a loving wife or not, she was there. Was it. She cooked, she cleaned, she took care of the kids. He went out, he worked. So he went into debt. It was what it was. Those houses weren't paid off. Your grandparents' house isn't paid off. Nowadays, there's no such guarantee. You got yourself a girlfriend, you got the 20 somethings, you got yourself a decent job, you're making 70K. She's still trying to get her humanities degree. Whatever. You say, look, I make 70K. Next year I'll be making 90. Let's do it. She's like, fine, you need to buy me a ring, which he really doesn't, but you're stupid. So you do it. You go and you get her, you buy her an engagement ring, then you get her a wedding ring with a wedding band. I mean, hell, you're $30,000-$40,000 in debt, and you need a place to stay and 2 vehicles. So now you're working for pretty much nothing. And you're strapped up to your gills, and while you're at work, she's banging, some local rapper, idiot with a tattoo, has done nothing. Got no job, no nothing. He's at home wearing her out on a daily. And you come home and find this out after about a year. That's what you're facing now. That's the woman of today. That's what you're facing now. It's not the women of the 40s. The new woman is loyal to absolutely no one. She has no morals or scruples that's going to keep her from not running around in tight shorts, not showing her body on Instagram, not getting an OnlyFans and trying to justify showing everybody, including your family and her family, her goodies. That's the woman of today. Instagram. The husband is not even close to being in the picture of importance. It's me. That's the woman of today. This is what you're dealing with. And have mercy if you get her pregnant. Because as soon as she thinks she's found something better, she's going to leave you. It doesn't mean he makes more money than you. She just, I don't know. He gives her that, I don't know, that feeling. And, now she's living in a much worse situation with your daughter. She's 3. And the guy she's living with just abuses the hell out of her. No love for her whatsoever. But she's not going to leave him because he's exciting and you're boring. You made 90K and you went to work every day. This guy makes 20,000 a year, maybe. Barely does anything. Ubers every now and then. Live in a roach infested whatever. She's not leaving him because he yells at her, treats her bad, and she likes it. This is the woman you're looking at now. Good luck. It's your boy Tone. I've been on for an hour plus, and I'm gonna go ahead and get off right now. I might come back later and just make some music. Thanks for stopping by.